Rest in natural great peace, this exhausted mind, beaten helplessly by karma and neurotic thought, like the relentless fury of the pounding waves in the infinite ocean of samsara. This is a book about what is enlightenment by John White, a venerable author, and he's got a list of all the key thinkers in this area, from the West, the West meeting the East, I guess. This is 1985. And so we start off with the venerable Cosmic Consciousness of Richard Buck. I think this was William James wrote about this, included this in his anthology. And Alan Watts, This Is It. Aldous Huxley, Perennial Philosophy. Evelyn Underhill, the Catholic scholar of mysticism. Houston Smith, The Sacred Unconscious. Meher Baba and the Quest of Consciousness. It's nice to see Meher Baba in a collection like this. And John White, the editor, interviews Krishnamurti, Aurobindo, and John White discusses enlightenment in Christianity, which is, of course, there, but not called by different names. Then the ox herding pictures by Lex Sixon, an amazing guy who studied many disciplines and had a long radio show, apparently, which I think I might have seen him once give a book talk. He had a book on Ramakrishna, and he came to San Rafael Open Secret Bookstore back in the 90s, and I saw him give a book talk there. And Roger Walsh, I think, is a researcher and trying to do some science around meditation states. And Gopi Krishna was the guy who had a spontaneous kundalini and struggled with it for like 12 years and wrote about how to not control it, but, he didn't. It's amazing, he was in India, he had a kundalini awakening, and he couldn't get anyone to help him. No one. He would think there would be lots of practitioners familiar with issues, like when Hakuin had a similar kundalini awakening. He found a Taoist who gave him a simple visualization practice about visualizing the butter on the top of your head melting down your body, and that helped him regulate the surging of the kundalini energy. And but it's still hard to find help, I guess, even now. Then we have Dafri John. This is what I'd like to read this one. And Ken Wilber. And John White says he had a previous book in 1972, The Highest State of Consciousness. And so this is 1985, so he's like updating that book. But there's For any student of religion and mysticism, this is an amazing selection. It'd be hard to do better in a book this size. And to have Meher Baba and Dr. John in one collection is quite valuable. So this is a short little section from Dr. John on the Mood of Enlightenment. And it doesn't say what year he gave it, but he has... I like it because it talks about absurdity. Life is completely absurd. Let's see what he means by that. I mean, any student of philosophy would not have a problem with that. And I got into philosophy reading Sartre in high school, the book Nausea, which is all about absurdity. And it's been a long, strange trip since then. So the talk starts, Dr. John's talk, and says, and I've tried to, this is only 4 pages, but I've tried to write a little summary in 1 page of this. So while you are alive, everything seems important. Even despair is important. An acknowledgement that something important to you has not happened. Thus, life while you live it is full of importances. On the other hand, the entire universe conspires to make you surrender what seems important, because everything in the universe comes to an end. It's impermanence. All experience is conspiring to move you to transcend experience, while at the same time demanding that you fulfill experience. Every instant of your life contains both of these urges. To fulfill experience and transcend experience. This is the Buddha's insight of impermanence. That sense the experiential realm is impermanent and incapable of satisfaction. So that is absurdity. Life is completely absurd. Every particle of it would move you towards some experience or other. And yet all experience conceals the ultimate message of the necessity for transcendence or freedom from experience. Like Krishnamurti would say, freedom from the known. That one must obtain freedom from something that is unnecessary to begin with is utterly absurd. Why bother with it to begin with? Enlightenment is to awaken from the seriousness of experience. It is not to despair or to destroy oneself. Despair is serious, and so is suicide. Self-indulgence is serious. Stressful effort is serious. Discipline is serious. Interest is serious. Knowledge is serious. Death, sex, food, everything is completely serious. This movement or tendency to survive, to continue in independent form, is profoundly serious. And it is also absurd because it must be transcended. Enlightenment is to be restored to divine humor, to realize that nothing is necessary, no experience is necessary. This is the Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva sees that all 5 skandhas are empty. No experience is necessary. You can either become distracted by experience and repeat it, or you can transcend it, one or the other. If you have transcended experience, then it is no longer necessary. In that case, whether or not experience continues makes not the slightest bit of difference to you. Experience will come to an end with death in any case. To see the emptiness of the skandhas is to be released from all suffering and fear. We are under the incredibly absurd illusion that there is an objective world outside consciousness. There is not a shred of truth in this presumption. There is no world independent of consciousness. This is mind only. Mafasubandhu. The world is a modification of consciousness, a play on consciousness. It is no independent reality and no necessity. It is just possibility. What consciousness does in terms of possibility in any moment is the drama of the seriousness of existence. When it awakens to its true position, which is senior to phenomena, then it is full of humor, and there is no necessity to any experience. There is only enlightenment, divine freedom. See, this is sort of a gospel of good news that awakening is awakening to the humor of experience in the midst of the apparent suffering of suffering sentient beings, and the objective reality of the horror of humanity is suffering, which we can get lost in quite easily. So I've tried to restate this several times. I would come along and read it and then try to write just a simple one page. Let's see how many times I tried it. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Oh, that's pretty absurd. Talk about absurdity. So, only 6 times. So let's see, here's the first one. Life is completely absurd. You are always moved to some experience or other. Yet all experience has the message of transcendence, or freedom from experience. That one must attain freedom from something that is unnecessary to begin with is utterly absurd. Enlightenment is to awaken from the seriousness of experience. It is not to despair or to destroy oneself. Everything is completely serious, and it is also absurd, because it must be transcended. Enlightenment is to be restored to divine humor, to realize that nothing is necessary. No experience is necessary. You can either become distracted by experience and repeat it, or you can transcend it. If you have transcended experience, then it is no longer necessary. So to repeat the experience of reading Godfrey John, we'll go to the 6th version of this, like a month later or so. What is objective about any sensation? It is your own mind. You are distracted by it and have lost the humor of it. You have lost your true condition, the right relationship to all experience. The right relationship to all experience is to exist as the transcendental consciousness, the radiant reality itself, in which all phenomena arise without necessity, humorously, miraculously. The wrong relationship is to experience. The wrong relationship to experience is to presume that you are a separate person in the midst of a world you know nothing about. In that case, experience is a very serious business. You have no choice but to be distracted and tormented by it. Prior to enlightenment, life is a struggle with the humorlessness of experience, the preoccupation to survive, moment to moment. This could be Suzuki Roshi's chapter on being the boss in the Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. So that was this paragraph here. I guess that was the last time we wrote it. The right relationship to all experience is to exist as the transcendental consciousness, the radiant reality itself, in which phenomena arise without necessity humorously. The wrong relationship to experiential phenomena is to presume that you are a separate person, a separate consciousness, in the midst of a world that you know nothing about, that somehow encloses you, that is objective to you, that is separate from you. In that case, you see, experience is a very serious business. You have no option but to submit to it, to be distracted and tormented by it. So to awaken to true nature is to awaken to the absurdity of experience and the humor of it all. The occupation of the spiritual master is as absurd as anything anyone else does, you see. Therefore it requires a sense of humor, or the enlightened point of view. Likewise, people must be obliged to be responsible in their approach. To me, this is Dafri John, irresponsible people cannot be enlightened, cannot be awakened, cannot hear the teaching. That obligation for responsibility having been met, then there is the right circumstance for our meeting, and then our meeting is truly enlightening. That's the rarity of teacher and disciple practicing mutually. How rare to come together in that right relationship.